Hey, hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Hope everyone's doing well today. Well, unfortunately, I went outside to start cutting and one of my motors gave up just as I was getting ready to start. So I have ridden off to China and see how long it takes them to ship me another one. They say a couple of weeks, so we'll see. Meanwhile, we'll continue with drawing. I think today I want to finish up on this neck part, so I'm going to hide my fretboard and the fretboard slots, and I'm going to go to this neck sketch and edit that sketch. So I'm going to start by drawing a line for a center line. Actually, I'm going to draw this first line the length of my truss rod. So from the end of the fretboard up here by the nut, I'm going to click in the midpoint and drag it the distance of my truss rod, which is 19.125 inches. And then I will create rectangle, center rectangle from the midpoint of that. And this will be 19.125 tab 0.25 width. And I'm going to get rid of this stuff in the middle here, the center line we created, and both of these. Okay, that's fine. And I'm going to create another center line here, and I have a 2-inch adjuster here on the end, and another rectangle, center rectangle for this. So that'll be 2-inch tab, I think mine's 0.37 wide. And again, I'm going to get rid of everything in the center here. See, I can trim these lines right here. Leave that one in. Trimming these 1/4-inch lines out of the middle here, and there's a little small line here I can trim out. Gets a little dicey in here with all these lines. Okay, and that's okay for that. And I'm going to draw one more center line going the opposite direction, and this will be for the adjustment slot. And I'm going to draw this line 1 inch. And, whoops, 1 inch. And then another center rectangle on that. And I'll do this 1 inch tab 0.5. Get rid of all these center lines. And then I'm going to trim out this line. Actually, it shouldn't be a trim. I'm just going to try to grab this line right here. Yeah, delete that line. Make sure we still got lines going through here. Should be okay. And then I'm going to use the create arc, 3-point arc up here. And just pull that until it's tangent on both sides. And I'll finish that sketch. Actually, we need to go back in here and lock it. I'm going to right click and edit. It's a long grab. I'm going to grab all this stuff on the inside here and lock all that. As you can see, I've pretty much given up on constraining everything. It's just time consuming. Okay, so turn this neck sketch back on, and then turn on the neck here. And we'll go ahead and extrude. Start with this 1/4 inch. And I'm going to push that down, so it's going to be a negative Mine needs to be 0.35 deep. Make sure you're in a cut operation. Turn the next sketch back on and then extrude again. This, and this. And this will be a negative 0.41 on mine. Click OK on that. Now I'm going to hide the sketch and take a look, make sure we didn't somehow pop all the way through to the other side on any of this stuff. That all looks good. Now this one is all squared off on the bottom, flat bottom right now, but when I actually do this cut here, that will be done with a bull nose, or rather a ball nosed bit, so it will be rounded on the bottom. And I'm going to call that good for that. Okay, I'm going to hide this neck again and head back over and edit this next sketch again. And I'm going to pull up my master canvas and take a look through here. So I got some 6x6 millimeter carbon fiber rods. I'm going to put 2 of those in this neck, and they need to end down here before these bolt holes. And also we have that 1/4 inch hole right here. So it needs to start down here. So I'm going to create another line about right on this A string. I'm going to start it about right here. Head down here to this bolt hole. It's about 15.3. 15.5. Yeah, I'm going to call mine 15.5. 15.5. And I'm not sure why I have this weird angle here, 180 degrees. There we go. Click OK on that. And then again, from the midpoint, I'm going to create a center rectangle. And that will be 15.5 tab 6 millimeter to have some room for some epoxy. Then I'm going to get rid of that center line and those rectangular lines. And then I'm going to grab all of that and I'm going to mirror and select my mirror center line. Will be the center line here, and click OK. Turn off this master canvas so we can see it a little better, and lock all that down. Finish that sketch, turn my neck back on, turn my next sketch back on. Oh, it's still not locked. Go over in here and see what I missed on that. Whoops. Missed everything. It's not locked in for some reason. Let me do that again here. Select all of this and lock it. Okay, finish that. Now I'm going to turn my neck back on in my next sketch, and I'm going to extrude those 2 channels. Make sure which way I'm going here. So that is a negative 6 millimeter. Cut operation, OK. And I think that's all we need to cut this. Oh, almost. We have to put some holes in it back here. So for those holes, I'm going to go in here, hide this body, and go back to the master sketch here. I'm going to edit that master sketch, turn on the master canvas, and I'm going to put those holes on this master sketch because they have to be on two different bodies. We want them to be exactly lined up. And I just like having this master here as a reference for everything that has to go on more than one body anyway. So I'm going to make a hole about right here, it looks like. Looks like all these holes are in a little bit different position. None of them are really parallel to anything. Supposed to be, what am I putting in here? I'm going to put some inserts for 1/4 screws in here. So I'm going to put a 0.375 bore in here. And then another one here. And those look pretty good. Thing you can run into here is if, you know, these bigger circles, if you're going to use furniture bolts to put in here, then you just make sure that they're not going to run over the edge here. Obviously, that's going to be a bad deal for you. And figure you might want to put a radius on this edge too on the back of the guitar. So they need to be far away from these edges here. But still, spaced as far apart as reasonable to get better traction on bolting that thing down. Alrighty, and then I'm going to lock all these down. And then I'm going to turn off the master canvas and turn this neck back on. I'm going to roll it upside down and create a sketch right on this face right here. And then I will hide that body, or that neck body, and turn back on the master sketch, and then project these circles. Actually, you know what? Cancel that. I'm going to project just the center dots here. Click OK for that projection. I'm going to turn off my master sketch, and then I'm going to create circles. Now the reason I took just the center dots and not the circles is because whenever you project something, you have less versatility in what you can actually do with that shape after you project it. Whereas if you create a new circle, then you're able to manipulate it more, or you create any new geometry, you can manipulate it more if it's not a projection. And it's all locked down, so we're good. Finish that sketch. I'm going to turn back on my neck, and I'm going to project or extrude those 4 circles into this. I think those are about 3/4 of an inch, negative 0.75. Cut operation, OK. So there are some pockets for my inserts. Now this neck, I think, is ready for cutting. So I have a bandsaw, and what I'm going to do is create a block of wood, a neck blank, and then I'm going to cut out the rough shape of this neck before I take it to the CNC table to get rid of the bulk of the material. And that way I only have to do one pass, finish pass the whole thing basically. So if you don't have a bandsaw, we'll be cutting through the width of this, and I think the widest piece of the blank here is going to have to be over 3.5 inches. So I'm not sure you'd make it through it with a jigsaw or something like that. I don't know if it would be possible to remove the bulk without a bandsaw. And depending on how strong your machine is and what size cutters you have, I have cut them in one pass, and taking all the bulk out to finish pass. So I'm going to create a sketch here on this center construction plane, and I'm going to go to my project, and I'm going to project in. There's a dot up here. I want that point and this point. There's another line right here. We'll project that in, and then this line. And then where this arc comes in here, there should be a point here. Actually, I'm going to take the whole arc, just the arc, and just this arc here. And then there's 2 points here. These are a little finicky to get in there and grab them. You bounce back and forth between. And this point right there at that transaction, I'm going to click OK for the projection. And then we need to draw in a spline right here. So I'm going to click on my Fit Point Spline tool and go between these 2 points. Actually, I need to draw that line first because we need to be tangent to this line. So I'm going to draw a line here from this point to this point. And then we can get rid of this line right here. And now we can draw a fit point spline from these 2 points. Click OK or Enter, and then click this line and make it tangent to this line. And escape out of that, and then click the line again and use this handle to kind of get a little bit closer on this end over here. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not cutting to this line. I'm going to be leaving a little bit of gap in there, so and that will be good for that. And then just fill in the dots. I'm going to hide the body here, hide this neck body, and then just draw lines all the way around here. Actually, we can get rid of this line right now too. I'm going to delete that because those are actually arch lines projected. I'd rather, as I mentioned before, I'd rather draw in lines and leave projections where possible. And make sure it turns blue. And finish that sketch. And I'm going to call this, actually we're not finished with the sketch. Edit sketch. Select everything and lock it down. Now finish that sketch. I'm going to call this one my neck side profile. And now I'm going to extrude that. And I'm just going to go 1/4 inch. I don't know what material I have out there, but I can adjust my height on the setup if I need to make it thicker or thinner for that matter. And I'm going to call this the same. Next side profile. So now I want to create the actual stock we're going to use to cut this neck. I'm going to turn off this side profile and turn back on the neck itself. And I'm going to create a new sketch from this neck construction right here. I'm going to turn this back to a top view. And I want to project in this dot here and this line back here. Click OK on that. I'm going to draw a line down from this dot and make sure it's vertical. And then I can measure that. It's about 28 inches. Okay, so I'm going to draw a line between those two at the midpoint back here. And then I can get rid of this line. And now I'm going to draw a center rectangle on this blue line here. So this distance here is about 28. I want to get 2 inches on each side, so each end rather. So we'll go 32 for the length, and then tab 3.75 on that. Click OK on that, and I'm going to hide that body now. And I'm going to get rid of the center line. And these rectangular constraints and this line as well. Actually, let's put this next sketch up here so we can see that. Okay, so I'm going to start with drawing some circles here from this midpoint. I'm going to put one here, 1/4 inch, and then do that again. Hover here, and then come in here, and click about here, 1/4 inch. And let's just draw a little tiny line here in the center for the moment. And then grab these two and mirror those. And then select your mirror line as that little tiny center line. Click OK on that, and then we can get rid of this line. Okay, so that gives us both ends secured. Now what I want to do is put a couple of circles over here. Very close to the edge here. 0.25 here. And then another one, hover on this point and come out here to the center, 0.25. And then select both of those and mirror those across the center line of the guitar. Click OK on that. And I think that'll hold us down pretty well. Get rid of that and finish this sketch. Oh, we could have gotten rid of this as well. Go ahead and edit this again and get rid of this center line. And then lock everything down here. Okay, and we'll call this the neck blank. And then we'll extrude that. If you turn back on this neck side profile, and extrude will be just the rectangular part. We want the holes left in the blank. So I'll start heading down here, and right there, 1.816. So I don't know if 3/4 is going to get in there or not. Yeah, 3/4 will work. So it's -1.75. And make sure, yeah, we've got a little material left here to the corner, so that'll work. Click OK on that. Hide this. And we'll call this body the neck blank. Okay, we should be ready to start cutting the neck now. So I'm going to go back over to manufacturing mode here. And I'm going to create a setup. Neck blank. G56 offset. And this one just do a fixed size and get rid of the round up to nearest value, make that 0. And the box point's going to be back here on the top. And then we're just going to do a drilling operation. For the tool, I'm going to turn on my milling tools and use the 1/4 inch flat end mill. Select OK on that. Now it looks like this is a little bit stubby. It's not going to make it all the way through the material, I don't think, before it's going to collide and give you an error. That's not really important that it's showing you that in software, unless your tool is actually that stubby. Then you'd need to address that with a longer tool. But I am going to be using a longer tool, so it doesn't matter that it's warning me that it's going to collide or not, because it's not going to collide in reality. And then for the geometry, I'm going to select all of these holes. And then I'm going to go ahead and put a stock bottom on here, just because that's the way I roll. And instead of this rapid, we're definitely going to use a chip breaking on this. And I'm going to go ahead and put an 1/8 inch pack on this. And click OK on that. And then go ahead and process this. Blank document. Post that. Clear my homing moves. And then while we're here, we're going to go ahead and edit this. And go back here to heights. Actually, we're going to do stock top. Stock top with an offset here of a -0.2. Post this, and we're going to change this to neck blank fixture. And I'm going to get rid of the get rid of all this and these two. I'm going to change over here. I'm going to turn off the neck blank and turn on the neck. So we can hide all this and create a new setup. And undo this and click on that body. And then let's go over here. I'm just going to call this the neck cavities. And put a note in here as top up. put this at the G56 offset. Over here we're going to use these from solid and use that neck blank. And then the box point will be back here. And then we need to center this. Actually, we don't need to center because we're using the solid. Yeah. Okay, and click OK on that. And let's see here, we can hide this. So I can hide this solid. No, we can't. Okay, I'm going to hide all this stuff here, and what we want to do now is cut all these slots out of here. So we can do all this with one bit. If you use an 1/8 inch bit, unfortunately you can't do any pocketing, even though this center one here is a 1/4 inch gap or a 1/4 inch wide. You can't use an exact 1/4 inch bit. You'd have to go in and basically change your bit size to even 24.9999 would be just fine. But if it's a 25 inch bit, it won't cut a 25 inch slot. I'm not sure why that is, but that's the way it is. So I'm just going to use an 1/8 inch bit to cut all this. So we're going to do a pocketing 2D pocket. And for the tool, we're going to select this 1/8 inch end mill. Select OK. And then for the geometry, go ahead and grab this long truss rod slot first because it doesn't have ends on it really. And then click and hold and close the contour and select these two small end lines. And then click the plus sign here. And then the bottoms of these other slots here. And I'm going to try to get these little holes in here too, if it'll do it. Right there. That should be left alone in here. Drop this tolerance down a little bit. Actually, that's not going down, it's going up, isn't it? 0.1. 0.001. Don't leave any stock here. Turn on your smoothing. Take out a 0 here. I'm going to take out these lead ends here. I don't want it. If you leave those lead ends in, it's very likely it's going to cut into this neck material at some point. So I'm going to take out both the lead in and the lead out, turn those off, and we'll finish that. Okay, it looks like that's going to cut everything. And not run into anything. And well, let's just simulate that and see what it looks like. Turn the stock back on. And I can already tell that's a lot of wear and tear on the machine for those holes. I'm going to close that and head back over and edit this and go here to this linking tab, and I'm going to change this ramping angle here. So I'm going to take that up to 10 degrees and see how that looks on these holes. Oh, much better. And the spiral is much less spiraling, so let's run that, see how it looks. Yeah, I'm happier with that. Let me think about these depths here. That's an 1/8 inch bit. We're clearing out almost a 1/2 inch up here on this slot. Yeah, we better do some more editing here. And we'll go back to the passes here, and we'll put in a multiple depth. And on this maximum roughing step down, let's just go ahead and give this an 1/8 inch value. And click OK on that. And I think we're good to go on that. Yeah, that's better. It would have done okay for most of it until we got to this big part up here, and then it would have tried to take all of that out in one cut, and would probably snap the bit off there. Okay, looks good. Starting to wish I had a stronger machine now, a stronger computer, that is. The computer's getting pretty slow. And that's about it for today. We'll work on the rest of this neck on the next one, and hopefully my machine parts will come in sooner than later. Alright guys, God bless you all, and have a good day. Thanks for watching.